Here we go. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Tracy K here, the Joyful Voyager, coming at you at 11 a.m. And I'm excited for today's topics. The topic, I should say. Okay, who's ever heard of EMF? Well, maybe you have, and maybe you haven't. Well, definitely my guest this morning has definitely heard about it. And before I get started, I got to tell you funny. So when I was setting up, before I introduce my guest, when I was setting up in this broadcast, I like to try to write something really cool in the description to get you to want to watch the broadcast. So I'm thinking, I wasn't thinking. It was OMG, EMG. What are these things? And then Nick writes me and he goes, Tracy, it's EMF. I'm like, oh crud. I was so happy with rhyming. I completely forgot what the acronym's supposed to look like. Anyway, it is EMF. And here to talk to us this morning is my pleasure to introduce my special guest. He is an Alexandria, Virginia native. He graduated from JMU. Yay, go Dukes.
Go Dukes.
And he is a practicing chiropractor, and he is phenomenal. I mean, not just because I know him, he really is phenomenal. Okay, and ladies, he's single. Look at that face. What's not to love? So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Nicholas Weber. We call him Dr. Nick of Advanced Corrective Chiropractic. They're in the Northern Virginia area. And I'm so excited to introduce you to talk about EMF and not EMG. So Dr. Nick, what is EMF?
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on, Tracy. This is an absolutely awesome opportunity. At Advanced Corrective Chiropractic, we love to educate our community. Education is one of the keystones of being able to take control of your own health and live a healthy lifestyle that is preventative, which we're seeing now more than ever is extremely important. So without further ado, let's get down to it. EMFs, or electromagnetic fields. This is something that is pervasive in our environment now. Pretty much everything that we have runs off of electricity, and an EMF is produced anytime we have moving electric current. I want you to think of a wire, and it's running with electricity, and around that wire in a 360-degree dimension is this field that is created by this moving particle. Now, it is a magnetic field that can interact with the environment. So, Earth has its own electromagnetic field as well. So this is just one of the things that happens as a byproduct of physics. It is, simply something that we can't stop happening. So when you look at EMFs, when we're talking about the scale of radiation, EMFs are what we call a non-ionizing radiation. The other form being ionizing radiation. So
that's some big words there. What does that mean in English for those of us who...
Right. So non-ionizing radiation is typically radiation that has been found to be relatively low risk. Of course, we're learning more about that as people begin to study this, but non-ionizing typically in the old school was thought of as non-damaging, and ionizing radiation was on the other side of that spectrum. On the top end of ionizing radiation, we have things like gamma rays, turning Bruce Banner into the Hulk. And then on the non-ionizing, we've got microwaves and power lines and things of that sort. So just to give you a kind of background on this, we've been studying EMFs for a pretty long period of time. There's research dating back to the 60s and 70s where people were starting to kind of take a look at this because electricity was becoming more and more pervasive in our technology and our society. So people started to get curious about it. There's people who have studied regeneration in cell phones, regeneration in animals, and postulating that electricity really did have a pretty central role in our biology. So then it made sense to kind of ask, okay, well, if electricity plays a central role in our biology, then shouldn't we be worrying about all this electricity and these EMFs that are around?
And that's what I'm wondering. Are my circuits getting all, rearranged?
Fried.
Yeah, what's going on?
That there is an effect, and they've done a lot of research on plants and animals. There was one study that I found in particular where a rose bush was exposed to varying levels of EMF fields during its growth process. and it did significantly affect how the rose bush grew. We're talking about delayed growth. We're talking about stunted growth. There's also the other side of that equation where there was a study done in rats where they exposed rats to EMFs, and they were particularly in this study watching what happened to the cardiovascular system. And that study found that there were no significant effects.
Oh, that's
so, we're kind of seeing things on both sides of the spectrum. Now, that was all with relatively low-level EMFs. The problem that we're running into now is that these are low-level EMFs that are getting ramped up in power. Everybody wants more speed on the internet. Everybody wants faster downloads through their phones. So how do we accomplish that? And the answer to that question is by making the EMF stronger. This is why people have gone to 5G. 5G is way stronger on the spectrum of radiation, so to speak, than the old 3G phones.
That's a good point. But yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because I've been hearing, and you hear things all the time in the news, and you're like, I'm an engineer. I used to work with all this stuff back in the day. So 5G, I'm like, I've heard that 5G is like, you don't necessarily want to get a phone that's 5G. It's going to set your hair on fire. It's going to turn you into like you said, the Incredible Hulk, or it's going to rearrange your cellular structure. It's too much radiation. Right. So what would you tell people about that?
Well, first things first, 5G is getting into a different spectrum of EMF than traditional cell phones. We are getting closer to what is called millimeter wave technology than the old cell phone signals. So in physics, when you're looking at the wavelengths and the hertz, the actual unit that they measure this waveform with, it is getting closer to a microwave than any other cell phone signals that have been in the past.
So this is like putting yourself in the microwave.
It's not that bad, Tracy. It's on the low level of that. So, physics wise, we're talking about similar wavelengths.
But what is that going to do to us? That's what I want to know. What's it going to do to me if I have a 5G phone, or there's a 5G? What's it going to do to me?
So we have research that shows that EMFs can interact with what are called voltage-gated channels in our cells. So if we're looking at a cell as a circle, there are electrical charges around the membrane that allow certain things to pass through either direction so that we can maintain that cellular homeostasis. We are finding that those EMFs can impact those voltage-gated channels and alter what happens with our cellular physiology. We have studies that show that women who keep cell phones in their bras develop breast cancer in the same spot where they have been holding those cell phones for long periods of time.
What happened to the days when all we kept in our bras was some cash? That was the safest place to keep the stuff, I know people are stuffed down bras that have no business being. Ladies, did you hear that out there? Dr. Nick said, don't put your cell phone in your bra. Don't put it there. Just don't.
Purse or pocket. I keep mine in my back pocket personally.
Put the cash in the bra. Leave the cell phone out. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. And when we started to find out more of these, physiologic effects that cell phone radiation was having, that's when people, really started to take a hard look at it. In 2016, at a WHO conference, 42 scientists from around the world called for protection from EMF exposure to be a goal and an outline for the nations of this world. So the scientists who study this, the physicists, the engineers, the physics guys, they realize that this is having an impact on us. In early 2002, the International Agency for Research on Cancer did classify extremely low frequency magnetic fields as a group 2B possible carcinogen. So, as far back as 2002, we knew that this was affecting our biology. But that didn't stop the big phone companies, the technology developers from putting out 5G, because that's what the people wanted.
And it's faster speeds, faster. I'm a cancer survivor. Yeah. So I call this thing 4G. I call it the radiation box. So I try to keep it from around my head. I use a headset, a wired headset, or whatever it is. I don't stick it down my bra, none of that stuff. But so somebody has a comment here. I got to read this. If we could possibly get breast cancer in our breast, could we also do some damage on our bums?
Possible. Hasn't been studied all that thoroughly, though. They focused on the ones that were presenting in the population more frequently. We got to know about that.
Breasts. People get more of a reaction from breasts and bubs, but I got to imagine it's probably not a good idea to have, so yeah, this whole 5G thing, that's a big concern. So
right. And
knowing
that's
all this,
that we need more study in. Particularly the 5G has not been studied because it hasn't really been out there all that long. I mean, the millimeter wave technology with its impact on physiology is one of those areas that we do require more study to be able to concretely say what it's doing to us. So right now there's not as much information out there as we should have about it.
It's just that we have a need for speed, and speed people want, and that's it. And then they think about it later. But okay, now this is potentially scary. I mean, well, just in general, like you were saying, EMFs are all around us, and they're getting even more pervasive because we have all these devices and all kinds of things that people never dreamt about when Thomas Edison first, invented the light bulb. Now we got everything electric. So now what do you recommend that we do, whether we're at home or traveling? What are some things we can do to protect ourselves from these things we really can't see or smell?
Right. They are kind of the invisible enemy, a lot like this, COVID virus going around. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it can't affect you. So the first thing I would say is maintain a healthy lifestyle. The human body is an extremely resilient organism. We are self-healing, self-regulating organisms. So making sure that you are healthy is step number one. That includes having a good diet and exercising. When we have a proper diet with all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that we need, we can support a healthy immune system, and our immune system can help get rid of what is called those free radicals, or those reactive oxygen species. Those are molecules.
Redox.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Your body oxidizes when you live, just the act of living. And the more you move, the more you oxidize. But yeah, that is great. You and I agree on that. I always say antioxidants in. Eat the right. Put down those Doritos, y'all. I know we're at home, but stop eating those Doritos. They're messing up your cells, and they will not help protect your body from EMFs. So it's healthy stuff going in. We always say garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
So the fruits, the vegetables. Yep. What is it? When I wrote my book, The Wellness Mindset, there was a statistic that they were who was it was recommending? They keep changing the helpings of fruits and vegetables, but it was up to, in order to really maintain health, they're saying up to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Now that doesn't mean a serving is like a half a cup. Right. But you could get, so it's possible to do it. Somebody's like, what? I got to get rid of my Cool Ranch Doritos. So let's talk about
once in a while, it's not too bad, but don't make it a staple,
Well, you see them at these gigantic bags, But now let's talk about something else. When we're talking about exercise and food, just the act. I like to get out, I like to hit my Peloton bike. But sometimes I just have to be out, which I'm finding I have to do that a lot. So I'll put on the shoes and I'll speed walk around the neighborhood because the oxygen.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the oxygen that we get in our cells. That's crucial. We need a lot of oxygen. Now, of course, we're talking about radiation. So the sun has radiation. So don't forget your sunblock. But the sun also has the ability to what? It strengthens us in ways. The vitamin D you can get from it. So let's talk about, you make some, so you were saying recommendations, a healthy diet, exercise. What else?
Well, other than that, protection from EMFs is something that is relatively difficult to do. So other than doing your preventative healthy lifestyle habits, distance from the source is one of the best ways to limit that effect. As you get farther away from that electrical source, that bubble I was talking about earlier gets weaker, and eventually you can get away from it. So doing things like keeping the phone in the purse or a backpack, making sure that all electronics in your bedroom are not close to your head, or close to you, period. So turning off that cell phone and putting it on the nightstand instead of leaving it on the nightstand, making sure you don't have computers in the room, not having a TV in the room. TV is one of those things that have kind of become, just
no. Let's back up now. I'm sorry. I get, here's let me explain. Netflix is one of the things keeping us sane. Now, let me ask you this.
Right now, yes.
Okay, well, yeah, right. But let's talk about this. If you do have a TV in the bedroom, and I'm just asking because I need to know, if I have it mounted up on the wall and it's at least 6 to 7 feet away from me, it's like I'm not like right next to it. Is that helpful?
That's helpful. I mean, any distance at all that you can put.
Okay. Don't tell people to get rid of their TVs in their bedrooms, because what's going to happen is you're going to have mutiny on the bounty. Okay. Right. So let me ask you, and if a lot of us use an iPad.
Yep.
Now, is it true? Like what I do is I don't put mine on. Someone's like, no TV. That's not what he said. So on mine, I keep my iPad in its own folder, and I put it not on my lap, but it's like on the bed. I love to get up on the bed with it, and I have a wired headset going to it, but it's not like right next to me.
Right.
That's a good way to do it, because I noticed a lot of people will put laptops to watch TV, or they'll put their iPad like right on their body. So what I'm doing is smart then.
Yep. Any distance at all.
Because it's impossible to get away from it. You are not getting people away from their iPads. You are not going to get people away from their cell phones. But we can tell people, hey, here's how to be safe. You got TVs in your home. And thank you for the tip about the cell phone, by the way, because I do keep it on the nightstand away from me, but I probably need to turn it off at night.
Click it off. Yep.
Okay. That's good.
Spitting stuff all night long.
Ooh, yeah, I could do that. How about Alexa? Alexa gives us sleeping sounds. We sleep to thunderstorms every night. So
well, put it somewhere, put it on the dresser instead of the bedside table.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, these are good. These are good practical steps. People are giving some good things in the comments here too. Use speaker for cell phone more. That's also good. Don't hold that up against your head, right?
Yep.
Right. So move your phone to the nightstand. Turn the thing off. Just move Alexa. And somebody says, I need my Netflix in the bedroom. See, I told you, if you told people to take their TV out of that would just be, that'll finish everybody. Yeah.
And make sure it's off.
Okay, so let's talk about when you're on the road, it's the same thing. Say you're going to be traveling, like especially for travel, it's going to be a while before things like transatlantic travel come back, but I can see the road trip coming back. And that's what I'm talking to people. You remember the road trip. And, back in the day, we didn't have anything but a transistor radio. Okay, I just aged myself. But, people have these devices in the cars and all this other stuff. So what we want to do is encourage them to maybe not have it on their lap.
Yeah.
Keep it away from the body. Like maybe if you can put it in the back of the front seat, or if you're sitting in the back. What other things? I guess it's the same thing wherever you go. It's just be cognizant of what is in the room that you're in. Don't put the stuff on your body.
And take breaks from it. We see through the research that consistent low-level exposure tends to be one of the driving factors in making those physiologic changes. So just getting bombarded by it every minute of every day is going to, kind of have a cumulative effect. So making sure if you are on that road trip, stop every once in a while, get out of the car, stretch your legs, leave all the phones and everything in there, walk around, breathe some of that fresh air. We actually even have studies that show that taking a walk through nature can boost your immune function and boost the number of T cells you have in your immune system. Those are our killer cells for about 2 months, because all of the things that you're smelling, those plant odors, those are technically foreign particles to your body. Now, your body doesn't know what they are. So what it does is it sends out those T cells to investigate. So it boosts your levels. Your T cells go find those foreign particles that are the nice smells coming off of the flowers. And once they're in there, they say, oh, you're fine. You're a friend. We don't need to worry about this. But you still have those T cells in circulation, so your immunity is thereby boosted.
Really? Well, what about all these nice plants? I go out and I smell them, and I end up with, no, I don't have Rona. I just have allergies.
If you have allergies, don't go jamming your face in pollen. That's probably a bad idea.
Well, we can't help it. This is, this is why I love, where we live in Northern Virginia. Loudoun County's got some beautiful areas. And I'm your neighbor right over the border in West Virginia. And I can really, so yes, people, get off your rusty dusty, the Kabunski as I call it, get up from that computer, do what Dr. Nick says, go outside, actually take a walk. Now, if you don't have to necessarily jog if your knees don't like it, but take a brisk walk, because and that's what he says. And when you smell that is really good. I love that. That's one of my favorite tips you've given this morning, is the one about the flowers, because how many of us out there, and if you garden, that's huge.
Absolutely.
Because I'm putting out my vegetable garden right now.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. And flowers and all of that. And, I never even thought about that. Get out there, guys. Get out there and move. Yeah,
we're humans. We're supposed to be out there.
We're supposed to be out, but no, this is good tips, because what we're saying is is that we can't avoid it. We live in a technological society. And so we have to be cognizant, with just what you're saying, that we just need to get up from that computer.
Yep.
We need to get up. In fact, so if most of us, like, I work from my computer, I'm doing a lot on my computer. So is it once an hour I want to take a break and go outside, or how often do I want to do it? At least once an hour, go out and take a walk. And it has, I guess it's great effects, because you're getting some exercise in there with it.
Oh, yeah. And aside from the physical benefits of it, we actually have research that shows that prolonged periods of intense work actually kind of depress your brain function. The longer you are working at a singular tasks, your brain loses the ability to retain information. So taking a break, about an hour, was what the research found actually enabled you to retain more information, recall that information, and use it.
That's great. Now, now we talked about all the scary stuff with EMFs. But what I want to get into is that, I've been to chiropractors before, but what you do is so far and away different from anybody what I've ever heard of. And you actually use electricity in a positive way.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the good stuff.
Cool. So the technique that we utilize at Advanced Corrective Chiropractic is called chiropractic biophysics. It is the most researched chiropractic technique on the world. Only 10% of chiropractors around the world have this knowledge and practice this technique. And even less of those chiropractors actually practice it to the full extent that it was designed to be utilized for. So we take a lot of pride in the fact that we're using the latest research to guide our treatment protocols. Now, a lot of what we're doing is changing your spine. We're rehabbing your spinal posture utilizing traction. So that's one of the biggest differences, is that we are essentially spinal rehabilitation experts. But neurology comes into play hugely in this. Now, that's the bioelectricity that I was mentioning earlier in our nervous system. So what we're seeking to do is essentially change the neurology of our patient's brain and spinal cord so that we can essentially put down a new default pathway for posture. We're changing the neurology so that their new normal is proper posture. And we have a lot of ways of doing that. Exercise is one of the big ones. That's the only way you can make a brain-body connection, is by utilizing that connection more frequently. So we use the exercises. We have something called the Power Plate Whole Body Vibration Platform.
I've been on one of those.
Yeah, they're very awesome. They're utilized in a lot of rehab settings, but they're also used in NFL, NHL locker rooms for training because the vibration is just very, very harmonious with our body. It helps with flexibility. It helps with strength. And again, it helps change the neurology because of the way that the unit vibrates. It is kind of a shortcut into recruiting more brain power for whatever motion it is that you're doing. So,
can I interrupt you for 1 second? Yeah. One of the viewers has just asked a question. When you mentioned what you're doing, she said chiropractic, electrical, spinal fixing. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the name. Can you just repeat what that was once again?
Chiropractic biophysics. So traction is the main difference that is between us and other chiropractors, a traditional chiropractor. The neurologic changes is where the electricity comes in. That being said, we also have a STIM unit, electrical transcutaneous therapy. So that's where you'll stick those little electric pads on a muscle group that's spastic, inflamed, or in a lot of pain, and we apply very low levels of electric current that interact with the body's own what is called analgesic or pain-killing system,
so that we can
relax the muscle, push the inflammation out, and get some relief for that pain. Of course, that is not something that is specific to our technique. Chiropractors all over the world have been utilizing that technology for a long time.
Now, wait a minute. Somebody's asking, what you're doing good for bulging discs?
It is absolutely excellent for bulging discs. We also have a decompression table at our clinic, which is the gold standard for conservative treatment of disc bulges and herniations. And we have gotten really, really great results for our patients. The way that we work it is if we do have a patient that comes in with a disc herniation or bulge of some kind, typically we will start them on the decompression table, and that will centralize or essentially pull in whatever part is bulging out of that herniation. That's going to help take care of the pain. It's going to take the pressure off the disc and off the nerves. And then we move into the corrective care phase, which is where we rehab the biomechanics of your spine and make sure that the reason that that disc herniation happened, which is abnormal biomechanics, gets fixed so that we can take additional pressure off that disc and make sure the other discs above and below can help assist that disc in not getting injured again.
Now, what was fascinating to me too, when you talk about you actually fixed the spine, you weren't lying. I had the privilege of seeing a presentation by Dr. Nick and actual proof of what they do. And I'm talking about after a treatment or two, you could actually see, the spine would be out of alignment. They take a before x-ray and show where it was off. And then right after a couple of treatments, it was astounding how the spine, even people with scoliosis, things were starting to line up beautifully with their treatments. And I'm like, say what? That is amazing. So you've been taking people that have been in pain for months, maybe even years, and never even thought it was, and let's talk about the spine, because that's the main thing you work on. It affects so many things. So right. It affects, I always thought it was just, okay, if my spine's out of alignment, that I have sciatica, whatever it is. But what other things does it do if it's out of alignment?
Your spine controls every single function of your body. Whether you are hungry, that goes from your brain down your spine to your stomach, and then your stomach growls. You have a cut on your foot, the pain signal goes from your foot up to your brain and back down. You feel the pain in your foot. If your body wants to heal that cut, the instructions have to come from upstairs, go down your spine, out your nerves to the origin of the injury, and then those cells get the instruction to heal. Digesting food, maintaining balance. Every single thing that happens in your body happens as a result of some set of instructions that originates in your brain, goes through your spinal cord, and then out to the target organ to accomplish that function.
So now, in electrical parlance, a transformer is something that carries signals from one to. So basically, the spine is kind of like the transformer for the body.
I would say it's probably more akin to just those big fat power wires.
Okay.
I'm not an engineer. You are. You've got the expertise in that.
I'm not an electrical engineer. I know something about it because for telecom, you did it. Yeah. So let me ask you this. When people are home, I've read about, specific stretches and things that you can do to help your spine. Are there any couple of things you can share with our viewers that we can do to stretch our spine?
If you are having back pain, you feel like you're kind of jammed up, so compressed down in there. The two yoga poses that I love to recommend to patients are the cats and the cows, arched back to the drop back.
Oh, yeah.
That motion is extremely decompressing for our discs. It's relieving for the muscles around it. It helps push fluids in and out of our discs so that we can remove inflammation and get nutrients into the actual spinal structures. So that's a really great way to kind of loosen up your spine.
That's the one when you get on your hands and knees.
Yep.
And just so that people know, when you arch your back upward, that's the cat position. When you arch it in, when you do inward, then that's the cow.
Correct.
And I know that from our friend, Emmy Cross from Exego Strong and Fit. She said, okay, give me a cat cow. I'm like, huh? So that's how I know how to do it.
Make sure your form is good. You have to have good form.
Oh, yeah, she's not playing. But I mean, she's another one that gets results.
Oh, yeah. You train with Emmy, you're gonna be in good shape.
Yeah, man. She'll get you into shape, and you'll fix the spine so that you can do the, see, everything is beautiful. Somebody, one of our viewers knows about cats and cows.
Awesome.
So cat cow. Thank you for that, because I was like, and see, if it hadn't been for Emmy, I would have been like, huh? But that's a good thing. So guys, do your cats and cows. And how many times a day do we want to do our cats and cow?
I'd say whenever you're feeling back pain, you can do them. This is not one of those exercises that there's a negative of doing too much of.
Okay.
That being said, you do want to be controlled in the manner that you're doing it, making sure you're matching up your breathing, making sure that you're not just flipping back and forth between them. We want to have nice, smooth, controlled motion. That's the key.
So no twerking on your hands and knees.
Nope, none of that.
Just saying, don't wreck yourself.
Don't
Slow, breathe slowly, transition from one movement to the next, make sure you're breathing and not holding your breath.
Yeah.
And so it'll stretch the spine, but it's got to help strengthen the spine too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're utilizing all those little tiny, what we call stabilizer muscles in between your vertebrae.
Oh, that is some great information. I mean, I could literally, where are we at here? Time. Oh, wow. I could keep talking to you for 3 hours. That's always the truth.
Right?
I know. So since we're like coming close, we've gone a little bit over, but I just want to ask you one last thing. What advice do you, thank you for the cat cow, but is there any last words you want to share with us before we sign off?
I will say prevention is key.
Okay.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Every problem that we see in our office that is really on, the top end of it is usually an issue that started as not a big problem. So making sure that when you have something that you're concerned about, that you go to your healthcare provider to get checked is extremely important.
And that would be you.
Red flags are avoided. We want to catch things when they're small. Small problems are easier to fix than big problems. That being said, big problems can be fixed. You mentioned that we got great results with our patients after a few treatments. And our treatment protocols are typically about 36 visits long. So all those pre and post pictures that you saw were after 36 visits of traction. So traction does take time, but it is the best way to actually change the shape of your spine and the way that it works. And the sooner we get our hands on you essentially and get to look at your spine, we're going to have more time to fix a smaller problem. And typically that's when we can get results faster and then make sure that we're setting your spine up for a graceful aging period so that you can maintain those high levels of function that all of our patients want and deserve. That's our goal, is just to make sure that people have high quality of life for as long as possible.
Yes, and I think that's wonderful. Okay, so down the bottom, if you've been watching, you will see a scrolling banner. So Dr. Nick at Advanced Corrective Chiropractic, and the best way to reach him is via his email down there. Dr. Nick, DRNICK, at advancedcorrectivechiropractic.com. Okay, so I can't tell you, this has been the most fun. Okay, now this is how I always end my broadcast. Now we're going to switch over. You know, I'm a travel agent. I got to ask.
Oh yeah.
What is the most embarrassing travel experience you've ever had?
You know,
Come on, you're single. Spill.
I haven't been traveling in a fairly long period of time, honestly. I guess
Okay,
it's the worst thing. I've lost more than a couple water bottles going through TSA.
Oh man, come on!
But
You're
other
a
than
young
that,
man. I want to hear about the wild times.
I have good luck when I'm traveling. I don't typically.
Hey, ladies, don't forget he's single. This is a good guy here, ladies. Anybody who's in the market, you need this man right here. He can cook too. He's a good cook. Yeah.
I mean, he's have some good fixins, you know.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's a young professional. He can cook. He's got a great personality.
Oh, you're making me blush, Tracy.
Anyway, I want to thank you so much. This has been so much fun.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me on. It's been awesome.
Oh, it's been great. I really have enjoyed this interview with you. Okay, for those of you watching, thank you for tuning in. And this is Dr. Nick Weber of Advanced Corrective Chiropractic and Tracy K, the Joyful Voyager. We are signing off. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.